Hello, welcome to my channel. You and I are going to be doing some bookish stuff this week. Today I'm going to head into the city. I'm going to head to Big W, have a look at what they've got. I want to go to Dimix and Kinokuniya. It's the Japanese bookstore in the city. Yeah, they've got a huge range of books, and they've also got a cafe that's connected to the bookstore that sells matchas and stuff. So yeah, I want to check them out. Hello, I am home now from book shopping. I made a coffee and I just want to give you a haul of the books that I got. The first book that I picked up is an Emily Henry book. This will be the fourth Emily Henry book that I've read. I actually read The People You Meet on Vacation ages ago and I really didn't enjoy it, and I thought it was really poorly written. So I was really confused why everyone loved Emily Henry so much, but I decided to, when Funny Story came out, to give Emily Henry another chance, and I'm glad that I did because I really enjoyed Funny Story. And then after I read Funny Story, I ended up reading Happy Place, and I actually enjoy her writing a lot and I like her settings, and yeah, it's good. It's an easy, fun read. I thought this would be good for spring. We'll see. And the second book I picked up is The 7 Year Slip, which is by Ashley Poston. I haven't read any of her books before, but the concept of this really interests me, and my friend Maddie said that she really enjoyed it. And then I think it's pretty highly rated, so yeah. And I haven't read a book with this type of storyline before, so I think the two main love interests are on a different timeline. I'm really interested to see how that kind of plays out. Yeah, so got that one. That was the second book I picked up. And the third book I picked up is, it's called Part of Your World, and I've also heard really good things about this. I read the blurb and I don't know if this is the case, but is there a 10-year difference between the love interests? I don't know. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. Apparently the chemistry between them is great, so I don't know. I won't judge until I read it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading those. So these are being added to my physical TBR. I need to show you guys what else is on there at the moment, and I'm not sure when I'll read these next, but I'm still reading Lessons in Chemistry. Success. I think it's about 7:30 now. I've just hopped into bed. I'm gonna try to read as much as I can of Lessons in Chemistry tonight so I can get started on some other books. Good morning. It is Tuesday morning. It's 6:54. And I woke up a little bit early this morning. I'm going into the office today, but I have some extra time, so I'm just going to read some of Lessons in Chemistry before I head off. so stressed, dude. I'm on page 317. I'm gonna try finish lessons in chemistry tonight, but we'll see. I mean, I should be able to. I'm crying a little bit. This is nothing new for me when I'm finishing a book, but it does have to be a good book for it to make me cry. I'm on page 360, so there's about 20 pages left. I just really like the message of the book. Hello, we are going to go through my TBR. Most of these books came from when they released the Reader's Top 100 of the 21st century. I went through the list and I decided to choose out 10 books that I really wanted to read. I'll go through those ones first with you guys. So out of the 10 that I chose, I went to order them from Big W and 2 of them weren't in stock. So I ended up only ordering 8 and then I found one of them at Salvo's like 2 days later. So I'm going to start from the ones that were the lowest on the list to the ones that were the highest. So in spot 77's was Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. I think this might be the only book that I got that isn't fiction. It has a timeline of all history at the beginning of the book, which is, yeah, I always love looking at it. It has the first point being 13.8 billion years ago, matter and energy appear, beginning of physics, atoms and molecules appear, beginning of chemistry. And then it goes through to when humans evolve, revolutions, kingdoms, empires, scientific revolution, industrial revolution. So yeah, basically everything from the beginning of time till now for humankind. It's a big read, but I'll do that one slowly over time, I think. But yeah, that was the only non-fiction book that I chose out. And then at number 52 is The Nightingale, which I have already read, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on this in my September wrap up. But long story short, I really loved it. It was my first Kristen Hanna book and it was really good. At number 49 is Gone Girl. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, I love her and I understand her and I'm really keen to read the book. I have read it many, many years ago, so I barely remember it, but I know the storyline very well from the movie, obviously. Keen to reread that one. That'll be a fun read. And at number 47 is Lessons in Chemistry. You guys know, I just finished this. It's very good and I'm glad I got the chance to read it. I don't think I ever would have picked up this book if it hadn't have been on this list. And yeah, it goes to show you should just go out of your comfort zone a little bit. Number 46 is The Song of Achilles. I've read the first 20 pages and I got very overwhelmed very quickly, but I am keen to give this a proper go. I just thought, like, when I was reading it was like, oh, the brother's son's cousin, and all these names that I didn't know, and I couldn't place the characters in my mind, so I will give this another go. Number 33, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. So he is an Australian author, which is really cool. This is a book about a little girl called Liesel and it's set in Nazi Germany, and I remember that the story is incredibly moving and beautiful. We read this as one of our books for English in high school and it really stuck with me, so I'm keen to give this a reread. At number 27 is Normal People by Sally Rooney, and this is one of my favorite books ever. And I know I keep saying that about a lot of these books, but honestly, I guess it's not surprising if this is the Reader's Top 100, so it's not surprising that a lot of these books are my favorite books, but this is a beautiful story that is just so relatable, and it is about 2 people who love each other and they just can't communicate and they're just stuck in that eternal loop of nothingness that is everything. It's incredible. The TV show is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. it would probably be in my top 3 TV shows of all time. It is just so relatable and gut-wrenching and emotional. I love them. I love them. The casting was really good. Anyway, this is about the book, not the TV show. Number 7 on the list is Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow. I read this recently and I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. It's really well written. I love the characters, the 3 main characters. They're all incredible. Again, a lot of miscommunication between them and just a lot of relatable things about growing up and things that happen in life that are unavoidable and how they deal with them. Another reason that I love this book is because I'm a gamer and there's a lot of gaming references in this. 2 of the main characters in this are game developers and they develop games together, so there's a lot of gaming references and I love it. It's really easy for me to picture sort of what's going on and the types of games that they were creating, but in saying that, I wouldn't be scared of reading this if you are not a gamer, because my friend read it recently and she said she loved it as well, and she doesn't game, so yeah. This also made me sob. This made me sob. Number 2 on the list, which is the last one that I chose, is All the Light We Cannot See. I haven't read this yet, but I have watched the TV show. It was on Netflix and it was really, really good. It's about a little girl who is blind and her father. They're just navigating the Nazi occupation of France. They are French. And yeah, it's really beautiful. I can't wait to read it. The TV show was really, really good. And an honorable mention to this book, Tom Lake. I had read this and owned it before the list came out, and it's one of my favorite books again. But yeah, it's just a beautiful story. I've heard people complain that not a lot happens, but for me, I just think it's really gorgeous. It's about a family that come together during COVID and go back to their family farm, which is a cherry farm, and they just share their stories and they get to know their mum more, who's also sharing her stories from the past about Tom Lake. And yeah, it's really beautiful. And what I like about this book is they don't push that it's a story about COVID or anything like that. You just piece that together. Yeah, so that's the last of the list. I think this sat at, I wrote it down, this sat at number 82 in the list. So taking out the books that I've already read now, since I bought those books a few months ago, left on my TBR is The Song of Achilles, Gone Girl, Sapiens, All the Light We Cannot See, and Normal People, that's a reread, and The Book Thief. And then books that were already on my TBR before that list came out is Powerless. I really, really need to read this. I've gone to start reading it multiple times. I'm keen for a fantasy soon, so I might have to read this. Magnolia Parks, please don't come for me, please, but I've also started this book and I just could not relate at all to their life situation. So I know people love it. I know people love it. I will give it another chance, but just not right now. And then The Things We Left Behind. This is the second book in the series and I really, really love the first one. Keen to read this ASAP and get back into that small town romance vibes. I'm very excited for that. Serpent and the Wings of the Night. This is very, very fantasy. I used to love fantasy so much. It used to be the main thing I read, the only thing I read, and I don't know, I haven't been that into it recently, so I found this difficult. I also picked up this book, found it difficult to get into it, but again, we'll give it another chance. I'm sure I'll love it. I honestly don't know much about it. I think from the first few chapters that I read, it's vampires, and that's about it. I'm sure there's much more to it than that, but yeah. 2 books that I picked up recently are Intermezzo and Dishonestly Yours. My friend Soph got me Dishonestly Yours, and I think, yeah, it's by the same writers who wrote Addicted to You, and I did like Addicted to You. That's the only book I've read from that series, but I would be keen to read more. Apparently this is quite an easy, good read, so yeah, that will be read soon. And then the other book that I picked up recently is Intermezzo, of course. Sally Rooney, love her. I feel like I need to be in the right mindset for this. I'm sure it's going to be a good book. I think it'll be interesting reading from a male perspective for this one, instead of just the usual female perspective that I read from. And then when I went book shopping the other day, you guys saw I got the 7-year slip. This is like at the top of my TBR for sure. Part of Your World. Excited. And Beach Read. I mean, you guys saw these already, but if I'm being really honest with you guys, I know I have a TBR here that I've been meaning to read these books for a really long time, but I think I just want to read an easy read that's nice for springtime, and I think it's gonna be Beach Read. Either Beach Read or 7-year slip. I think it's between these two. Oh man, I just don't know. I might go 7-year slip. I think I'm gonna go 7-year slip. But yeah, this will be my new read, so I'll probably read a bit of this over the next few days. Thank you. Thought I would finally film my September wrap for you guys. I read 4 books, made a coffee. I thought it would just be nice to have a coffee while I talk about these books with you guys. I read 4 books in September and I rated 2 of them 5 stars, so I'm very excited to talk about them. But the first book that I started with was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I was surprised how much I love this book. Before I read this book, I had never really watched any old Hollywood movies or TV shows, so I found it really easy to picture the world, which is surprising. I rated this 5 stars, and if I could recommend any of the books that I read in September, it would probably be this one. Evelyn is such a strong and interesting character, and I actually wrote down a quote of hers that I really, really loved, and it's always been fascinating to me how things can be simultaneously true and false, how people can be good and bad all in one, how someone can love you in a way that is so beautifully selfless while serving themselves ruthlessly. And I think that just sums up Evelyn and this whole book very well. It's great. Couldn't recommend it more. The next book I read was Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow. I accidentally spoke about this for way too long when I was talking about the Reader's Top 100, because I completely forgot that I read this in September. So you guys have already sort of heard my view on this. I rated this 4 stars, and the only reason I didn't rate this 5 stars was because I do think it just went on slightly too long towards the end. The thing about this book though is, even though I only rated it 4 stars, I still think about it often, so I don't know, if I could rate it 4.5, it would probably be 4.5. The next book that I read is The Nightingale. This is based in World War II and is based in France, and it's about 2 sisters and their experience in occupied France. I'm a history lover, and it's a really good insight into the experience of women during World War II. It explains a lot about the French resistance and what was going on during that time, and the impact that the war had on people at home. The last book that I read in September was One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. This is a very short book, but it is a powerful one. It is by a Russian author who had experience in the camps under the rule of Stalin, and he's writing about a fictional character called Ivan, who was also at these camps. It only spans over the one day, but it goes into every single detail of the day. You get to just experience how hard it was and how repetitive it was. They didn't know how long they were going to be in the camps for, so yeah, you just get a real experience of what that time was like. And yeah, it just left me feeling very grateful for my life and things that I get to do every day. Yeah, I rated that one 4 stars. That's it. That was the 4 books that I read in September, and that's all I really had planned for this vlog. So this is the first vlog I'm ever posting. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching and spending this time with me. I've had a really fun week doing it all, so yeah, thanks.